Hey, college wrestling fans, it's JT1Wrestle here, and we are in the middle of talking about the best wrestle-offs in 2025, 2026. We've already done 125, 133, 141, and 149. Now let's talk about 157 and 165 NCAA Division 1. So, we're going to start off at the 157-pound weight class. We're going to talk about George Mason. We got DJ McGee taking on JT Chance, the battle of the abbreviations, right? So, DJ McGee going into 2025, 2026 thus far has been a two-time finalist in the Mid-American Conference Championships, was a champion last year, and he's also a two-time Midlands Place winner, making the finals of Midlands last year. I'm looking at a potential All-American in 2026. But first, before he starts thinking about making the podium in March, he's got to make the varsity again because JT Chance is another very tough wrestler at 157 pounds. He was sixth at the Midlands last year. And what really sticks out to me about Chance is he had a major decision victory over Grigor Chalakian of Stanford last year, which really stuck out to me. So I'm excited about this wrestle off between McGee and Chance at George Mason. Now, 157 pounds again. We're going to go over to Columbus, Ohio, Ohio State University. And I'm telling you right now, just looking over the Buckeye lineup, their wrestle off, if it's going to be broadcasted, if you can drive there and actually watch it in person or any way you're able to watch this, if it's open to the public, I recommend going and watching the Ohio State Wrestle Offs because they're going to be just as good as some of the Big Ten duels that we're going to see later on this season. At 157, we have Brandon Cannon taking on Brock Herman to see who will represent the Buckeyes on the varsity spot. Brandon Cannon had a great season last year, made the Big Ten finals, was one match away from being an All American. But Brock Herman also had a pretty impressive season last year, had an 11-4. That's almost majoring All American Caleb Fish of Oklahoma State. Now, Cannon and Herman did meet officially last year, and Cannon walked away with a 7-6 decision. So that tells you how close these guys are. Very anxious to see who makes the varsity here for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now we're going to move on over to South Dakota State University, where we have Cale Swinson taking on Moses Espinoza Owens for the varsity spot at 157 pounds. Cale Swinson is a two-time NCAA Division One qualifier. Unfortunately, last year he was injured. But if he's healthy, if he's 100%, let me tell you about Cale Swinson real quick. The kind of wins that he has underneath his belt. NCAA Division One finalist Joey Blaze, Big 12 champion Panero Johnson, All American Vinny Zerbin. Those are the kind of wins that Cale Swinson already has in his repertoire. So imagine what he's capable of this season if he's 100%. Moses Espinoza Owens, kind of a up and down wrestler, rides that roller coaster, has some downs, has some ups. One of the ups he had last year is he had a 5-2 sudden victory over I think it's 4 or 5 time NCAA Division One qualifier Johnny Lovett of Central Michigan. If you're asking me, make a bet, lay your money down, I'm going with Cale Swinson, but I'm not sure if he's 100% or not. I don't know, and people are different sometimes after injuries. Sometimes they come back different people than what they were. That's the reason why I'm giving Moses Espinoza Owens a little bit more of a chance here to maybe earn that varsity spot. Um, I do think Cale Swinson's going to win this, but I still think that MEO, as I often write, because I don't like writing really long names sometimes, um, I think he's going to give him a good match. So I think that's going to be another good one. And believe it or not, all surprises here. Let's act shocked. JT1 wrestlers is going back to Ohio State to now talk about 165 pounds. You talk about talent in a room, all at the same weight class. You got Patty Gallagher, you got Bryce Hepner, and you got Ethan Bird all going for the varsity spot at 165 pounds. I'm going to start off talking about Patty Gallagher. Talk about a wrestler's wrestler. Talk about a guy that is a team wrestler. Last year, Sammy Sosa, had all those horrible, unfortunate circumstances that he had to deal with, heartbreaking circumstances he had to deal with. And Paddy Gallagher stepped up, and I was very impressed by him and impressed by how he stepped up and stepped into that role. Very admirable, and I have a lot of respect for him for that. He's a two-time NCAA Division One qualifier. Bryce Hepner, unfortunately, he's dealt with a lot of injuries thus far in his career, but a tough kid. Won the Michigan State Open last year. Had a 4-0 win over three-time NCAA Division One qualifier Max Mayfield of Northwestern, who's now at Missouri. And then we also have Ethan Bird, another super tough kid, took seventh at the Midlands last year and had a very impressive 9-6 win over Braden Scolas, who was one match away from being an All American last year. So I've said it, multiple times. I'm going to say it again. Those Ohio State wrestle-offs are going to be good. These wrestle-offs, let's see here. Those wrestle-offs right there, Ohio State. Watch them if you can. So that's JT1 Wrestle's opinion on the best wrestle-offs NCAA Division 1, 157 and 165 pounds.